Okay, I'm making this video because I have recognized on the forum, amongst the threads, some questions in regards to sharpening kata-ha knives. Kata-ha, chisel grind, single bevel. I have here a Tanaka 180 millimeter Diba, Wa Diba. You have a kata-ha construction, which means that you have a concave back. The concave back is very simply to create a lack of vacuum. It's to rather to quell a vacuum that would be caused from slicing through something. So when you slice through something, there will be a bit of air that won't allow the blade to stick to whatever you're cutting. On the kata-ha, you have a single bevel, so this is a right-handed knife. It's going to splay. I don't know if you can see the single bevel, but this bevel is going to splay food to the right. But obviously, the food that you're cutting, you don't want the knife to stick to it, so they designed the concave back. You often hear people talk about sanmai knives, sanmai construction, sanmai. Sanmai is a description of a cladding. I have here, just for demonstration, Kanehiro 210 millimeter Gyoto, Aogami Super Hagane, which is the center core. So a sanmai construction is a stainless steel cladding, but if you look to the spine, I don't know what the camera or lighting can do for me here, but if you look at the spine, you can see that you have the jigane, which is the soft stainless outer, and then dead center, you see the Aogami Super Hagane, which is the hard metal in the center, and then the other cladding on the other side, which is obviously soft stainless. You'll see the same in the choil, maybe more exaggerated on the camera, I can't see. It's just an iPhone. So you have your jigane and hagane and so forth. So that's an example of sanmai. Another type of cladding type, I don't know why I'm getting into this, but is warakami. Warakami, here's another Kanehiro. This is Kanehiro 150 millimeter Wa Petty. Fantastic Jinsanko knife. This knife is warakomi construction, meaning that the spine has the soft stainless jigane wraps around the jigane. In this case would be Jinsanko G3 steel. So you can see still on the choil, you can still see the hagane and the jigane distinction. So these would be warakomi and sanmai constructions. This knife, the Tanaka 180 Diba, is in fact a Nimai cladding type. Nimai is another type, whereas your hollow back is in fact in this knife blue number 2. The cladding, as you can see, the kuruchi finish, which is just from the annealing process where they leave the mud and so forth. But then you can see this jigane, and then you can see the cladding line. It's going to get more exaggerated as we go, but you can definitely see the jigane meeting the hagane. So here we go. So I have already I've already gone through the progression, begun the progression with a Nubatama Bamboo 1200. Great starting point for me because I keep my knives pretty sharp. I don't really have much, I respect my knives, I don't damage them much, so there's not much repair needs to be done. Start with the 1200. I've already gone through that and it just took so long, and now I've been rambling, wasting your time and mine. So I just wanted to move into the basics of the sharpening process. I have moved from the 1200 up to a 5000. This is a Suhiro Rika 5K. Fantastic stone, really love it. It has an amazing mud. It's just a luxurious feeling. It really has a creamy mud, leaves a great polish. Can't say enough about the stone, but here we go. So you have the advantage of the single bevel. So it chooses the angle, it dictates the angle in which you're sharpening from the get-go. So utilize it. Make sure that you meet the bevel to the stone flush, and that is your sharpening angle. No need to get into the further descriptions of thinning and so forth, which really become an issue with single bevels as you start grinding down. But you're going to follow your bevel. So As you beginners and people who are having problems sharpening, you're going to recognize that tips are typically a problem. I really like to focus on the tip. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to make sure my bevel is flat. Okay, you can see this gap, you can see the angle in which the knife is already at, and that's decided by that bevel. So we're going to start coming in. I'm going to angle in a little bit just to get some action on that tip. I'm already seeing the swarf build up. No mud yet, but so be it. Okay, now I'm moving the pressure on my fingers down a little bit lower. Full strokes, trying to utilize the full length of the stone. I'm going to move my finger down a little bit over. I'm going to move over on the other side as I was waiting on one side of the stone. I'm going to try to use as much of the stone as possible to keep it straight. Moving my finger down, continuing this fluid, smooth action. As the mud is building, you're creating some stiction on the bevel. So you're going to have to start paying a little bit more attention there. Okay, so I have already gone, I moved my transitioned my weight of my finger down the blade. I'm already feeling on the back side my burr formation already on the tip. Feels like we need a little slightly burr coming down here. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to move down just a little bit, and that's really quick off of a 5K, but I've spent some good time on a 12. This mud is getting a little sticky, so I'm going to have to irrigate slightly. Just got a little water in there. You want to use this mud. Coming down on the heel, focusing more on the heel. Trying to get some burr formation down here. Even on the 5K it will happen. I'm not looking for a huge build, but I want to feel some ridge. For those of you who are new and don't know what I'm talking about when I say burr, obviously when you're scraping metal against stone, you're going to be abrading off metal on the back. Obviously I'm sharpening on this side, so as the metal comes up, you'll have a burr formation. You will actually feel it. I can feel a burr of metal. I feel it on the tip. I do not feel it on the heel. So I'm going to go a little bit more. Focusing on here. I like to flip my stones just to try to even out the wear. We all flatten our stones, but I try to do it as least as possible, keep them as flat as possible. Okay, so I'm feeling a little bit of burr now. Okay, so now that I got some burr, I'm going to, with this chisel grind, you're going to go 9 times on one side to only 1 on the back. I mean, you can count, I don't care, I just, I go through the progression on one side, and then you just finish quickly on the back side, on the hollow grind. Make sure that you get all the way from the heel. Irrigate this mud just a little bit. Okay, now I'm feeling, can you see this mud? This mud is, I can't tell you how awesome this mud is. I just love the feel of the stone, always have from the second I used it. Nonetheless, I can feel that I still have a little bit of a burr. So I'm going to grind that down. You don't want to put much grind on the back. And that's all I needed. No, actually not true. A little bit more. Okay, so now I'm feeling that grind down. Just want to see if I can show you. No, you're not going to be able to see that. Okay. So now that I'm done with that, now I'm going to do some trailing edge, which is basically like a strop. I'm going to strop on the 5K. I'm going to use trailing edge strokes, but I'm going to go full length of the stone, full length of the blade, as you can see, okay? A lot of people, actually I think everyone, video-wise, uses segmented sharpening methods, whereas they sharpen one segment, sharpen another segment, sharpen another segment. I find that works inconsistently for me. It leaves uneven edges, so I use a sweeping motion. That's just my style. So I'm going to use the full length of the blade against the full length of the stone, all in one stroke. Okay, so this mud is becoming a little bit too dry for my liking, but getting a little focus on the tip there, moving down, a little focus on the heel. This needs a little irrigation. Okay, Now we're going to move into some trailing edges on the back. Trailing edges on the back. Full heel to stone, all the way down to tip, finishing at the end. So I'm getting full strokes. Okay. Taking a look. You know, you really want to be watching your blade to see what you're sharpening off of it, how much steel you're taking off, what kind of progression you're making on the actual knife. I haven't seemingly been that attentive to that because I'm on a 5K right now, so I'm really not taking up, not cutting that much. I am refining the edge that I've already created on the 12. I've already sharpened like 5 knives before this, so my hands are really saturated. The skin is really soft. I would normally use a 3-finger test to get a feel for the sharpness. I can feel it, but it's sort of arbitrary as this skin is already so soft. I will use some hair in an instance like this. So you can see I'm shaving. I'm shaving. So, like instantly shaving. So that gives you the basic rundown of how to sharpen kata-ha.